What's up, guys? You're listening to another episode of Selling on Amazon with Andy Isom. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to restock Amazon FBA inventory so you can keep your sales flowing without suffering ranking. Now, the first thing that you need to do is you need to assess your inventory needs. So in order to know when and how and why to restock your Amazon FBA inventory, you need to know what your inventory levels are. So regularly check your inventory levels, using Amazon Seller Central. So you can do this from the Amazon FBA dashboard right here under the FBA inventory screen. And you can see all sorts of information about how many available units you have, your inbound quantities if you have a shipment on the way, anything that's reserved in FC transfer or processing, unfulfillable inventory, excess units, inventory age, all sorts of stuff, including your sales summary of how many units you've been selling in the last 90 days. This is a great way, and you can download this report as well, to really know what your inventory levels are. The next thing you're really going to want to know is your sales velocity. So that's how many average daily sales you're getting. And if you have a new product launch or you're just getting started on Amazon and you haven't quite reached product maturity, meaning your product is still growing and still fluctuating, you're going to want to check this on a regular basis, especially if you have lower inventory levels. Let's say you launch a brand new product on Amazon and you send 200 units to Amazon FBA. Well, during the first couple weeks, maybe a couple months, sales might be all over the place. You might sell 1 unit one day and 10 the next day and 0 the next day. So you're going to want to check every day to really get a feel for how your inventory, how your sales are going, and how your sales velocity is progressing on a daily basis, so that you'll know, okay, I'm getting steady at 5 average sales per day, 7, 10. And then you can look at your inventory and communicate effectively with your supplier upstream to make sure you have more inventory on the way. You can also look at the restock inventory report to, again, get a really good understanding of what inventory needs to be reordered, the reorder amount, the reorder date. This is a report that we've used all the time to understand how many days of supply we have left and when we should reorder, and the recommended replenishment quantity. So after you've assessed the current state of your inventory and your sales, you need to forecast demand. Now, this is something that's really tricky for new sellers, new products, and especially seasonal products, because you may have a SKU of product, right, that maybe is not selling super great right now, but as you move into summertime or fall or winter or a holiday, it could sell really well. Or maybe there's an upcoming sales season like Prime Day here in July, or Black Friday or Christmas time, or whatever it is. So you need to look into the future, especially right as you're reordering inventory, to see what is the trend. Is demand going to increase? Are sales going to increase? Now, if you have no sales history, a good tool that I would recommend using is Jungle Scout, and you can use Keyword Scout and look at keyword demand over time. So you might see that, oh, this specific keyword for my product is only getting searched 10,000 times a month in the summer months, but it's actually going to increase to 20,000 searches a month in the fall months. And you're reordering, let's say right now, for fall restock. So keep that in mind. Make sure you're not just reordering for what your sales are right now, but you're reordering thinking, okay, 2, 3, 4 months down the road, when this inventory gets here, what is the demand going to be like during that time? A very common question that I get from people and students is, how do I know how much inventory to reorder? Okay, you can use, like I said, you can use the restock inventory report that will give you, a recommended replenishment quantity and a recommended ship date, saying, hey, you need to get this ordered now, or be on the lookout for 2 weeks from now to get this ordered. But a simple and easy to use formula that you can stick to for all of your different SKUs on how much inventory to reorder is by using the reorder point formula. The reorder point formula is average daily sales times your lead time in days plus your safety stock amount. So let's break this down a little bit more. So first, you need to know your average daily sales. So this is the average number of units sold per day for a specific product. To calculate this, sum or total up the total units sold over a given period and then divide by the number of days. For example, if you sold 600 units over a 30-day period, your average daily sales would be 600 divided by 30, or 20 units per day. Okay, so we could use the number 20 as average daily sales. Now, your lead time is the number of days it takes from placing an order with your supplier to receiving the inventory at Amazon Fulfillment Center. This includes processing, shipping, and receiving time. So again, if you have not placed a lot of orders of inventory with your suppliers, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult to calculate, but pay attention to all these dates. We have a massive Google sheet that we've been using for 5 years where we enter in all these dates. So for example, if we place a new order of inventory with our supplier, we send our supplier an email and say, hey, we wanna order 500 units of this SKU. We chart in our Google sheet the date that we send that email. Not the date they respond, literally the date that we hit the send button, July 1st, whatever it is. Then when the supplier confirms and we make our initial payment and they start working on it, we put in the date we made the initial payment, which in theory is the day they start working on the inventory. Then we put in the date when the supplier says, hey, we're done with your inventory, we're ready to ship it. We put in the date that we make the final payment, if we're making the final payment before shipping. And then if they ship the inventory, we put in the date they shipped the inventory. So they'll send us and say, hey, we shipped your inventory, here's a tracking number, put in that date. The date that it shows up at our warehouse, we use a 3PL, we put in date received at our warehouse, the date it goes out, we track, the date that it gets sent or received at Amazon, we put in. We track all of these different dates in a big Google sheet so that we know what our lead time is. And we can see over time how our lead times change. Because if we're ordering, we've been doing this for 5 years now. So if we're ordering inventory at the new year, January, February, March, our lead times might be different than if it's fourth quarter. If it's fourth quarter, when it's busy, the ports are busy, the airports are busy, Amazon's busy, maybe our lead time is 60 days on average. But again, in the new year, when it's not as busy, or maybe let's say post-Chinese New Year, maybe our lead time is only 40 days. So we chart these different metrics so we see over time what our average lead times are, and also depending on how much inventory we order. Maybe if we order 2,000 units, our lead time is 40 days. If we order 20,000 units, our lead time is 60 days. So all these things play a factor. It's a lot of moving parts, but the more you can just track and take notes of everything that you're doing, the easier it is going to be to go and reference that data to understand what your lead time is. So let's just say from the time you place an order to the time it gets received at Amazon, it's 30 days. Just to make things simple. That would be amazing, by the way. So let's say, okay, again, for our formula, it's going to be average daily units sold, so 20, times the lead time, so it's 30, so that's 600. And then simply you're just going to create a buffer amount, okay, or a safety stock, we could call it. And that's going to be the amount of inventory that you want to have on hand before running out. So that's going to protect you from variability in demand. If you have like a sales day or, a holiday or something, you want to have that kind of stock to cover unexpected spikes in sales or unexpected delays in the lead time. And so that's going to be different for everyone. So you might say, okay, on average, I'm selling, let's say 20 units a day, and I want to buffer a safety stock of 2 weeks. So let's call it 14 days. So then we might go, okay, 20 units a day times 14 days is 280. So we simply add 280 to that 600. So we go 600 plus 280, and we know our reorder is 880 units, okay? So we know our reorder point formula is 880 units. So when we get below 880 units of inventory for that specific SKU that we're calculating, I need to reorder because it's taking into account my daily units sold, how many days the lead time is, and my safety stock. Before you hit that reorder point, let's say I start with 1,000 units at Amazon and I set my reorder point at 880. I start selling 20, I hit 880, boom, I go and I send to my supplier, I need another 1,000 units. You should, again, if you were consistent on an average of 20 units a day and your lead time is good, you should get your inventory back at Amazon in time and you won't sell out. That is the big key that we're trying to avoid, guys, is selling out. Now, I've said this many times on the podcast and I'll continue to say it, but selling out is not the worst thing in the world. I always try to remind people like, hey, if selling out is a good problem to have, it means people are buying your stuff, but it definitely hurts. It definitely hurts your ranking. It hurts your sales momentum. Now, you can gain it back. We've proven this dozens of times with our own brand over the past, 5 years, and we've sold out dozens of times. We have 90 different SKUs. Some of them sell out. It's very unavoidable. Like, to be honest, you just want to try to minimize it as much as possible, but you can come back. Now, what I have observed with my own brand and other brands that we work with is the shorter the time period that you're sold out, the easier it is to build back the momentum. So let's say you're out of stock for a week, 7 days, and then you get inventory back at Amazon. It's going to be a lot easier to regain your momentum, let's say 20 units sold per day, than if you're sold out for 6 months. Okay. This goes for evergreen products. Now, if you're selling a seasonal product and you sell out during the season, that's fine. I recommend this for a lot of people. Be out of stock. That's fine. Just let your listing be out of stock for the next 6 months. And when the season comes back, get your inventory back in stock. You should be just fine. But for year-round, evergreen, they always sell consistently throughout the year products. The longer you're sold out, the harder it is to build back that momentum. So we just want to try to minimize the amount of time that we are out of stock. So here's some just restocking strategies that you can use to keep in mind is conduct a weekly or bi-weekly inventory review. For our brand, we've gone through different periods where we've done this every week, every other week, once a month, and now we're back to every other week. So whatever system and schedule works for you and your brand with where you're at, just set a time. Maybe it's every Monday, maybe it's every other Monday, it's the first of the month to go in and look at these reports, look at your inventory and make sure you're proactive in ordering inventory before it sells out. Something else that you can also do is use a third-party software. We use Sellerboard. A lot of our clients and students are using Sellerboard and loving it. You can actually set up inventory planning within Sellerboard to set, kind of those alerts and say, hey, here's my safety stock, here's how much inventory I have, here's my lead times, so that you can get those alerts to say, hey, it's time to place an order of this product if you don't want to sell out. And they'll integrate with your sales velocity and everything for you, so you don't have to manually calculate that, and it will adjust depending on if sales are increasing or decreasing for you. So using a third-party tool like that really helps. So if you guys are interested in Sellerboard, I can also get you guys 2 months for free. There's a link on my website, andyisom.com. Now, as far as how to send restock to Amazon FBA, you're going to go under shipments and use the send to Amazon system for creating an inventory shipment. This is pretty step-by-step straightforward. You can create templates depending on the size of boxes that you're traditionally using to send inventory to Amazon. And then it's simply clicking how many boxes of inventory you want to send. Like let's say you pack 100 units in a box, you go ahead and say, I want 2 boxes of this, 3 boxes of that, as you get inventory, whether it's you're shipping from your house or you're shipping from your supplier, using the send to Amazon workflow to get the inventory sent back or sent to Amazon FBA warehouses. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah, that's what most of our students and most people are using these days to send off their Amazon shipments. I hope this episode was useful to you guys. If it was, and if you found value in the podcast, it would mean the world to me if you take the time to leave me a review. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leaving some stars, right? Writing a review for me, it really helps the show. It helps us reach new people. We've helped dozens, if not hundreds of people that I may not even know about start their brands and sell products on Amazon, all because you guys are listening to the podcast, sharing it with your friends, leaving those reviews and helping people build life-changing brands. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to leave a review. It really means a lot to me and my family. Once again, guys, I'm Andy. You're listening to Selling on Amazon with Andy Isom. We'll see you in the next episode.